Yo, what's going on, y'all? We are back again. Another episode of The Grounded Show. I believe this is episode 86. Today is no Quincy or Joe. My guys are indisposed today. So I'm holding it down with Nickolai.
What's
What's
going
going on,
on?
my guy?
What's happening, man?
Nothing much. So when Nickolai got here, first thing he did was go for the comic books. So what's up with the comic thing, man? When did you get into that?
Uh, like I love Batman since I was maybe like my son's age. I had to be like 3.5 or 4 years old, and I think I was introduced to him through like Adam West. The
Mm.
1966 Batman, the silly, goofy stuff. But I don't know. It was colorful. It was fun, and then that pulled me into looking for more Batman. So it was Batman comic books, right? And there was a lot of that in the late '80s, early '90s.
So when you found the comics through Batman, were you already like aware of like the others, like Marvel and like the other superheroes and stuff, or you were just specifically like locked in on Batman and that's it?
In the '80s, '90s, like, I mean, not '80s, I don't really remember the '80s, like, I'm not that old. I mean, I am, but I remember in, like, '90s, early, mid-'90s, that's when I was really getting into it, and I didn't think of it as being separate as Marvel this or DC that. I would wonder why Batman wasn't hanging out with Spider-Man.
Mhm.
That's how I thought it. I thought it, like, in a real simple, like, childlike kinda way, like, an innocent kinda way. And then in the '90s, they had the crossovers,
Yep,
like
yep.
you have in your collection, I seen, where they managed to work it in, so it became like a normal thing. I was like, "Yeah, it's about time that they're doing this." Like, it's weird that they waited 50 years for these characters to exist together, but, um, yeah, it all seemed like a whole world that opened up. It wasn't, like, just Batman, it became stuff about Spider-Man, then it became about the X-Men, and then it became about Spawn, all that. It just kept branching out, and it doesn't stop. New comics come out every Wednesday, so it doesn't really end.
So you actually put me on to one of the comics that I had in there that was a gift from
Mm,
my mom's husband. It
Superman speeding bullets, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so kind of explain that the little backstory to that because I didn't even really know I had that in my collection even, and you put me onto it.
Well, it's like I was telling you, it's a Elseworld story, which is like, if you followed Marvel on Disney Plus at all, you've seen the What Ifs,
Hmm.
about What If. Well, those What If episodes come from What If comic books, which is just like they're titled in Marvel. It's a what if this happened in this famous story. What if this happened differently instead of this way? It
Yeah,
was just like a what if kind of one of story that was just its own thing. It has a beginning and an end, and it doesn't really attach to anything else. It's its own world, its own
yeah,
universe, or whatever. Well, DC has its own version called the Elseworlds, and in this one, it's basically a what if um, the Waynes, Thomas and Martha Wayne, Batman's parents, instead of having Bruce as their son, they discover baby Kal-El, baby Clark Kent, Superman. They discover him and they take him as their son. What if that is the way it played out? So basically, Superman is Batman. You have like a flying Batman that exists in Gotham City.
yeah, and like we'll put the cover art in the show, but the cover art is crazy because it's like a fusion of Superman and Batman. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
like you're saying, it's basically Superman as Batman.
Yeah, and that the cover art itself for that issue is it's actually an homage to, I think it's Superman #1, where he's flying in that same pose. They have the same border
Oh
around it and
wow.
everything, so it's flashing back to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. The comic book world is dope because like you said, there's so many like different universes and different stories and different threads that different people follow in
Hmm.
that same world. And it's like it's some of them don't have anything to do with the other ones, but it's like the same character, just a different like kind of like timeline.
Yeah, it's just like another any creator that's interested in the character maybe has an idea for a single story with this character that's already established, and people already know Peter Parker gets bitten by a spider, turns into Spider-Man. But then some creator comes along and decides, what if I don't even know about this one. What if Peter Parker got bitten by two spiders? Like
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Copyright, patent pending on that one. What if it was 2 spiders? How about that? At the same
Man,
time.
we were talking earlier also about that Fox Kids Spider-Man show
Mhm.
that ended after, I believe, 2 seasons, maybe 3, but
Something like that. I think they made it to a
it
3rd
ended like
one.
on a cliffhanger. It was like going into the multiverse.
Yeah.
Peter had lost Mary Jane like early in the season and didn't know where she was at. And
Green Goblin put her into a portal to another dimension, right?
and then like somebody towards the end, I don't know if it was Craven or some, I forgot who it was, but basically told Spider-Man like, "Hey, Mary Jane is good. She's just in another dimension."
It's Doctor Strange maybe
Doctor
or something.
Strange. Yeah, I think it was
'Cause
Doctor
by this time
Strange.
they were crossing over with the X-Men, and then they were pulling in, like, Captain America, Doctor Strange, stuff like that.
Yeah, he like took Peter Parker away, Spider-Man away,
Mhm,
like, "Yo, let's go and we'll go get her."
mhm.
And then they just never dropped another
No.
episode.
No closure, none.
That was a heartbreaker, man. And then
Yeah.
it was like at that time where you couldn't even figure out why nothing's happening. Like we didn't have access to know that they canceled the series or whatever, whatever the case is. It just was out of the lineup, and you're like, okay, all the shows came back except for Spider-Man. What's going on?
Yeah, no, you got your heart ripped out, thrown in the trash, and no feedback, and you just had to move on. You just had to accept it.
The worst,
Yeah.
man. But now with that X-Men 97, you were saying that it's kind of like like a feeler, and hopefully that means that they bring that back and finish the story, man.
They have to. I mean, it's all about money, right? Unfortunately, but, like, it's gonna make the money if they do it.
And they don't even need to figure out what will they do. The story's right there. And the
They've
multiverse stuff is like hot right now.
super hot.
So it'll just like be perfectly in line with everything that's
Yeah,
going on.
I agree, 100%.
It's crazy because like even as an artist, you probably know this as well, that when it comes to art and things like that, like your resume is like what you've done.
Mhm.
So them having so many issues and all these stories and all these things, it's like whenever it's time to make money a different way, they already have the archives to basically just redo it in the new way. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
something about them not trusting the source material, and that's all they need to do, and whenever they do that, they're successful for both companies, Marvel and
Crazy, right?
DC. Yeah,
Who would have thought we enjoyed the comics, so now let's just see them in large form. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Who would have thought?
I mean, I did all my
For
childhood
real, man.
collecting Wizard magazine. Do you know about Wizard magazine?
Nah,
Oh my
what
god.
was that? Put me on.
Wizard magazine was the internet for of comic books
Mm.
before there was an internet. It was a magazine. It came out once a month, so you're always, behind on the info,
Probably
but
kind of like
you're
the East Bay magazine where it would show like the new
East Bay,
sneakers
yes,
and everything.
yes, yes, same thing, but it was every month about comic books, and
Dang.
in the back, the last maybe third of this thick little magazine, the last third of it was, a price guide that let you know up to that month how much your comics are worth.
Wow.
Yeah,
Little stock
this was
market.
pre-eBay, this was, oh, Wizard magazine, bring that back. Even if it's an app or something, come on, Wizard.
Yo, you remember the old, it's like an early 90s movie, I believe, The Phantom?
Not only do I remember the Phantom, I remember when it came out, 7-Eleven, you could get a Slurpee and get, like, this little it was probably a lead ring. Do you remember this? Did you get one?
Bro, I watched Phantom like as soon as it came out.
That
Like
shit hurt my fingers so bad, it was so tight.
that was Billy Zane, right?
Yes, sir, it was.
Yeah. Damn, The Phantom, bro. And the crazy thing was I thought that movie was so fire when I was a kid.
It's not.
Definitely not.
But as a kid,
It's
for
just like the
sure.
Street Fighter movie, man. Like when they dropped that Street Fighter movie in like 94 or whatever, it was like the intersection of me being Jean-Claude Van Damme's biggest fan and being the biggest fan of Street Fighter, and the
Oh,
fact
it
that
was like
he
the
was
perfect
Guile,
movie.
bro, it just blew my mind that that was even possible. One, because it was like, to me, it was like there's no way these two worlds are gonna intersect. You know what I
And then
mean?
it happened.
Then it happened, and then in my mind, the movie was tremendous.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And then it's like one of those things when you watch it back, you're like, wow, this was a tremendous piece of hot garbage.
There's plenty of movies like that, but they still have like a nice warm spot in your heart just because you remember how it made you feel when you were little, right?
Bro. Another, we talked about a ruthless line from X-Men earlier that Magneto told Pyro.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Another ruthless line was in Street Fighter
Oh, remind me.
when freaking Bison, Raul Julia,
Yes. Rest in
tells
peace.
Chun Li, because she's like telling him the story of like how like he went through her village and killed her family and all this stuff,
Okay.
and she's like her whole life waited for this revenge, and he looks at her and says, "For you," I don't know the exact words, but he basically said, "For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important event of your life. For me, it was Tuesday." Oh my gosh,
Ah.
bro. That
What
was
a
a fine piece
monster.
of acting and just a
Yeah.
line that was just a classic line that was just wasted in a movie that if that was in any other movie, bro, that would be like an
Academy Award
all-timer, dog.
winning performance. Yeah. This reminds me of what movie can I look back at like that's like that? I'm old enough to have seen the Super Mario Brothers movie
Mm,
starring
John
John
Leguizamo
Leguizamo as Luigi.
and Buddy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes,
I
as
always forget his
Mario.
name.
Me too. I'm sorry to him. He's awesome. But yeah, I saw that in theaters with my parents took me to the dollar theater, so I didn't even realize it had been out for like
Yeah.
2.5 months. I was little. I was like, I'm getting to see Mario. Yeah. I kept waiting for Mario to show up.
Yeah,
The whole movie
that was like
until
a
the
crazy
end.
one. That was like a crazy one to adapt that way. Like,
That way, like, what the hell? What a missed opportunity. The shit that my kid gets to see today as a Mario movie,
oh, facts.
this is what I always
You
wanted. Like,
remember
he's
Double
living my
Dragon?
dreams. Yeah. Yeah,
Yo,
I remember Double Dragon.
all the movies, I swear it had to be the same. I think it was New Line Cinema. I think they did all of those movies.
Yeah, you
And I
always
think
see
they had
the
to have
2
used the
things come up
same
in
cameraman
the
and
New Line
everything.
Cinema logo, yeah.
They probably shot them movies back to back, like in a weekend, because they all have the same look, the same acting, the same
Yeah.
everything, bro.
Yeah, man.
Another one that was a tremendous dud was Mortal Kombat, bro.
The first one was not a tremendous dud. It was a dud, but the second one was a
I mean,
tremendous
tremendous
dud.
in the sense like it was so dope, but it was so
Disrespecting the
whack.
source material. That's
Again, bro.
again.
What is it? Like, why do you not trust why people like it in the first place?
I think people when they try to create another version or take the source and move it into a different medium, they think it has to be different.
Yeah.
Because it is different. You're ingesting it, you're taking it in a different way. So in that way, it's already different. You can try to copy it, the source material exactly, but it's not gonna be the same even if you try.
So how do you feel about the Walking Dead dynamic of, I don't know if you watched the show, but just the idea that the way that they did the show was they stayed pretty true to the comics. They just changed stuff here and there,
I
like to kind of
mean,
keep the comic book fans on their
I don't know
toes.
if you know, but Daryl never existed in the comics.
I didn't know that specifically. I knew a
He's
couple.
huge. He's a fan favorite.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
remember, in April Fool's one day, the creator of The Walking Dead comics was like, "Coming this fall, like, Daryl's gonna show up in the comic," and it was just an April Fool's joke,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
never shows up.
Wow, that's wild. I
Mhm.
didn't know that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that. So
It
what do you
if
think about that idea, like of doing it that way, where you kind of stay true, but you just change a couple things to keep them on their toes?
Well, I got into The Walking Dead comic shortly before the live action series came out because there was such hype about, "Oh, this is coming out. It's gonna be big. Just you wait.
Yeah,
Better read the comic before it comes out." I was like, "Okay." So I didn't have the resources to I couldn't afford the comics, so I bootleg pirated them online at the time, and I got pretty far into the what would be the series,
yeah,
and it follows pretty closely to a point, and then it branches off and becomes its own thing, and that was cool too.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it can be done right, like, with respect to the source material. It doesn't have to copy it if you can do it right,
yeah,
but if you ideally, just copy it, like, people loved, Sin City, right?
yeah,
300,
yeah,
both of these are Frank Miller books, comics, and the who was it? Zack Snyder made these, right? And
yep.
what did he choose to do? He used the panels from the comic as
Guides for
basically
the
the
scenes.
guides for the scenes, yeah, uh-huh,
Yeah, man.
and it worked great.
Yeah, for real.
There's nothing like him.
there's definitely like an appreciation for when you pay attention to that and really try to like capture the essence of the characters and stuff, as opposed to like, for example, this freaking Dragon Ball Z live action movies that they've done where they're just like, bro,
Bro, you're
what
talking
are
about
you
Dragon Ball Evolution?
like, bro, what is that? What are you even doing? How drunk are you?
When this guy died last week, Akira Toriyama, you know
Yeah.
about him? He died. Rest in peace. Um, the guy who played Goku, like, put out like a Twitter message, like, we're real sorry for making that shit movie. Like, even he had to apologize, rest in peace to a legend or whatever.
Yeah, for
And
real.
like, sorry we didn't do better type of thing.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that was
like,
good.
it doesn't even make any sense, man. I don't even understand it.
No, I can't begin to understand that one. Oh, they made some wild choices. A lot of what Marvel's doing is making some wild choices with this, like, this Morbius movie that was utter
Yeah.
trash. Madam Web, like, who asked for that? Craven,
Yeah, but
Venom with no Spider-Man. We got 2 Venom movies with 0
Craven is
Spider-Man
so random. Like, why are y'all pulling Craven out?
of all the
Who even
villains.
asked for Craven?
Not a single person.
Nobody ever said what's up with Craven.
Nobody asked
If
for
anything,
him.
we saying what's up with Silver Surfer, baby.
I guess they gave us a taste with
Dog, worst possible movie, but the way he
the
was in the
Surfer was
movie
good. The
was
Surfer was
so
good.
fire, bro. So fire. It was amazing.
Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh my
He was
gosh.
even in the title.
Yo, just his presence in it and the way they did the scenes with him were like amazing. But that's, bro, why? Why would you do that?
They had a perfect silver ball and they dropped it.
Why do you think there's certain like entities that, one, they don't work no matter how much they try to reboot them, but
Oh, you
two,
mean
it's
like
like,
Fantastic Four?
yeah, and why are they so insistent on
Nah, man. I
giving us
think they nailed. I
Fantastic
think they're gonna
Four?
nail it this time. I think they got it this time. First of all, you got Mando on there. You got Pedro Pascal is Mr. Do
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
about this? You know
yeah,
about
yeah. I know the cast. They dropped the people who's gonna play them.
and 2, it's taking place in the 60s.
Okay, I didn't
It's
know
like a
that
it's like
detail.
a period piece, right?
Gotcha.
So they get to explore that time, and they're gonna show us, most likely, what happened to them in the 60s where they got erased from Marvel's current
Yeah.
time. So we're gonna know what happened. Maybe they're gonna come back, and they're gonna pull in the mutants.
Man, there's just so many. Like, even with like Spider-Man, bro, like there's so many angles they can go in Spider-Man, and they just keep retreading the same thing
I mean,
over
this
and
new thing
over
that we got
again.
is this multiverse thing, and that's kinda getting I mean, there's so much like you said, there's so much
Yeah.
you can do. I mean,
But even that, they still hadn't even really explored the regular universe. You know what I mean? It was just always, I mean, I know how much of a presence Green Goblin is to Spider-Man, but it's like,
mhm.
dog, there's a lot of other sagas that you, even like the Sinister Six thing, they were never able to put it together. Even like when they were
They
like
started
introducing
to.
it was like they scratched that movie right when they were like, all right, this is finally coming.
Yeah, that was weird. So what you're saying is we need a Craven the Hunter movie, is what I'm hearing.
Bro, even like Morbius was dope. I don't know. I like the character, I mean, not the movie.
Enough, I
The
guess,
character I
for a
like.
vampire. He's a vampire. I mean, how many vampires? We got plenty of vampire movies. I think I'm like a vampire. I'm racist toward vampires. I
You
think.
vampired out.
I never liked vampires. I just
Yeah,
didn't
I've
get
never
it.
been. You know the only vampire thing I kind of like
Blade,
was, no, yeah, Blade. That's
but he killed
definitely,
vampires.
yeah, yeah. But you ever seen this show called Being Human?
I
It
know
was like a
of it.
UK show, and then they made a US
Okay.
version.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It was basically,
I think I watched the first episode.
there was
Maybe
three roommates. It was a
a
vampire, a
ghost.
werewolf, and a ghost.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a actiony type show, like sci-fi. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It wasn't necessarily like like a Vampire Diaries or something.
Yeah,
You know
so
what I
many
mean?
Vampire
It was just more
Diaries.
like I don't even know how to describe it. It was more like a lore type show as opposed to like a trendy type show, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It was dope. It was kind of like along the vein of you ever seen Misfits or heard of Misfits? A UK
Yeah,
show?
yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, it is like that. Yeah, I get that same vibe from the both those. I've seen a little bit more Misfits than, the other show, but
Misfits was dope, man. I ended up
I
watching
remember they had a cool
that whole
intro.
thing.
They had a cool intro.
Yeah, it had a random little premise of like there was like a whole bunch of kids on like, what was it? Like they were doing like community service, like just based off getting arrested. And then there was like a lightning bolt that hit the city that random people just got powers. And like all the kids,
That's what happened?
yeah, yeah, it was like some kind of like lightning bolt or shock thing happened. And like random people throughout the city got powers.
Oh,
And they
like
all got powers. And then they kind of figured out like, oh, not everybody got powers, but there's people out here that got it. So like the series kind of follows that. Like,
this kind of reminds me of like Static Shock. Do you remember Static
yeah,
Shock?
Static Shock, man. Static Shock was fire, man.
When are we gonna get a revival of that? When are we gonna get a live action of Static Shock?
Yeah, that right there, you know that'll hit. Static Shock,
Yeah, that would have hit 10 years ago. That would have hit now.
a live action Samurai Jack would be crazy too.
Anything that guy touches is gold.
Bro,
Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab. You check out Primal. Do you know about Primal?
nah. What is that?
It's you know how Samurai Jack is like feudal Japan, samurai time. You're following the samurai's journey to he's trying to get
Yeah.
back to the past. Samurai Jack. You know, it's in the song. Primal, it's about a caveman and his adventures with a T-Rex that he like befriends. And it's not much talking. It's like a visual storytelling. It's the same guy, the Gendy Tartakovsky, whatever,
Yeah.
that did, like I said, Samurai Jack and Dexter's Lab. So it's got like that kind of style where it's just very much his style.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's really simple. It has heart. It's just a beautiful show. I highly recommend Primal.
I don't know why this made me think of this, but a show that was dubbed, I mean, that was subbed, that I actually like, it was funny, bro. Like I never really like laughed so much at a sub show
Hmm.
was One Punch Man. You ever seen One Punch Man?
The first season, and that's it.
Bro,
I don't know why I never
I think the second season was pretty good. I don't know if they made a third. I don't remember. I fell off.
I just didn't get how the story could keep going and it's not just like a 12 episode or 26 episode thing and just have an end. Are
Yeah,
they
I
gonna make
feel
it
that.
like a forever thing?
I don't know, to be honest, because I fell off after the second season anyway. I don't even know if they kept going or what.
There's too many stories that have endings to get into these ones that don't.
See, but I liked the little dance and the way, like, it's like they set up the premise of the show, so you already know like this guy ain't losing. But somehow they wrote it in a way that it was interesting. I think the
Yeah.
comedy part of
Uh-huh.
it was what really hooked me. You know what I mean? Like I really liked
Yeah.
the dialogue. It was real witty. The way they
Yeah.
drew it with the dialogue, I liked.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it was like one of them shows that it kept you interested, even though you, like you said, it kind of you already knew what the ending was. You know that this guy's not losing.
Mhm. It's just about making, I guess, that godlike character relatable. Just like trying to make Superman 'cause Superman can do anything, and that's the challenge, I guess, for writing for him, I would think, is, like, trying to figure out how to give him a problem.
All right, so check this out. That's why I don't like Superman. First of all, that's
Oh, you
why
can't not like
I don't like him at
Superman.
all, man. So,
At
but at
all?
all, man, it's just so
Alright, Imma
corny
put
to
you
me,
onto Imma
man.
put you onto some good Superman stories.
I'll
There's a
try it. I'll
few.
try it.
There's a few.
So check this out. What's your opinion on Doctor Manhattan as a character?
He's omnipotent. He's a really cool idea. He can do anything, and they showed his abilities, in a really cool way. Yeah.
Yeah, he might be my favorite comic book character of all
You just
time.
like him because he's the most powerful.
I just
He
like
probably is.
I just like again, like I like the way they wrote his dialogue. I like the way he thinks as a character. You know what I mean? His that whole like it's just such a cool vibe to me. You know what I mean? Like even just like I can imagine that scene of him like,
Do you wanna like him even more?
what's up? Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so you didn't know how, like, the Watchmen kinda worked their way into, like, the main DC Comics continuity,
Yeah, I
right?
didn't know.
Okay. Well, I didn't keep up with it that well, but I remember there being rumor that the entire DC universe, as we know it, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, everything, all of it, was actually Doctor Manhattan's creation when he left Earth and decided to create his own life.
Yeah.
Was he created the DC universe.
Oh damn,
Yeah.
that's great. And that was like a rumor, or they actually
I
ended
don't
up
know if
doing
it
something
ended
with
up
it.
going that way because they made it
I'm
into
gonna.
like a
Oh
12-issue series, and then, like, things got off the rails, and I couldn't afford comic books for a few months, so maybe they did do that. I don't know. So, I know
man,
that was a thought.
what did you feel about the movie
I loved it.
and the
I thought the
series?
movie
Did
was
you
great.
watch the series as
I thought the
well?
series was really good.
Yeah, same,
Yeah.
same. I like both of them as well.
You know, the creator, Alan Moore, he
He hated
hates
the show, right?
anything that's not the comic. He doesn't think comics should be adapted into movies.
Yeah, I know that I read an article about him talking about the show and kind of getting into things he didn't like about
Oh,
it.
he hates
But
the movie, he hates the show. He's awesome. He's kind of a hater.
it's like, bro, imagine you. I mean, it has to be like, damn, you created it, so it's
Mhm.
you know what it is in your head. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And they're never
Yeah.
gonna be able to do
It exists
what's
in
in your
book
head. You know?
form, like, you can buy a copy anywhere. It's, like, on its 1 millionth
Yeah, yeah.
printing,
Hmm.
like, if people like that enough, then let them like another version of it too. Why not? Don't get mad at it.
Yeah, man, that masterfully done. That
You read the comic? The
I
Watchmen
read it
comic?
one time. I wanna
That's
I
all it
wanna
takes.
yeah.
That's all it takes. That
I
shit'll
wanna
sit
read
with
it
you.
again, to be honest,
Me
man.
too. I read it all the way through from beginning to end one time, and that's it. It
Yeah.
stuck with me though for it's been decades.
Yeah, bro, a lot of people like to downplay comics, but the the dialogue and the introspectiveness and like the way they write like emotion in those comics is like super dope. You know what I mean? Like it's just like anything else, bro. Like there's a deeper meaning behind it. Everything is not what it is on the surface. You know what I mean? And especially with comics, when you really like tap into these characters and these stories and stuff, it's like that's why these entities have been able to turn into these billion-dollar things because the stories are compelling. You know what I mean? That's why I can go to the movie theater with my wife. She don't got to know nothing about the comic. She watches
Still
it,
enjoy
maybe ask me
yourself.
a question here or
Mhm.
there, like, "Oh, why is?" And then I'll tell her, "Oh, he's this because of
So she
that."
can get because she likes it enough to wanna know a little bit more, and there's a
Exactly.
little bit more to know about it to enjoy it just a little bit more.
And they're just dope stories. They're
Yeah.
compelling stories. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I always kind of like equate, not the same, but comics, wrestling. It's like it's a different kind of art form, and some people just don't. They can't get their minds. They can't wrap their minds around a different kind of art form than what they're used to,
Right.
or even just the idea of like, it's like, bro, everything is fake. You know what I'm saying? You read the comic, the story in the comic is the same fake thing that you're watching on TV. Like it's people. We talked about it recently on the podcast. Like people like to compartmentalize their fake versus other people's fake and don't realize everything's fake. You're talking about all fake ideas, so you can't be holier than thou about your
Mm,
fake.
mm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Your
mhm.
fake is the same as my fake. So, just let's keep it a buck and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you said holier than thou because I think that you can gain a lot of information from, say, like, Bible stories, right?
Yeah, for sure,
The
for sure.
same way you kinda can from a Spider-Man comic book. Spider-Man's a good guy. He's trying to
Yep.
do at the end of the day, he's trying to be a good Christian, you know? If
Yeah.
if you wanna put it that way, like, I mean, he's just trying to do the right thing for everybody,
Yeah. I like
even if
what
that means sacrificing himself, you know?
I know you're a Seinfeld fan. You like
Big
comics.
time.
I know you like comedy. You watch
Yes.
Comedians in Cars?
I think I've seen all of it, yeah.
So do you by any chance remember the Patton Oswalt episode?
Remind me a bit. I know I
So
saw it.
he picked him up in a DeLorean and they talk a
Yes,
little bit about
yes,
Superman, and then
yes.
Jerry asked him what's his favorite comic book character, and he settles on Spider-Man, and his description of it was dope, and I liked why he settled on Spider-Man, because he was like he really liked the inner struggle of Spider-Man of like, do I want to start a family? Do I want to have my life? Do I need to save the city? Like
All that stuff
that.
that did not exist in comic characters before Spider-Man. He was the first, like, human
Hmm.
superhero.
Yep. Yeah, Spider-Man was definitely ahead of its time, and it's probably why it's been the entity that's really stuck with everybody more than, I would say, than more than any other character in comics. You know what I mean?
That suit design is perfect. The blue and the red with the webs, what?
Yep.
It can't be touched. They when, what was it Ditko? Steve Ditko came up with that
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Rest in peace to him as well. Um, he
Okay.
really tapped into something.
So I'm gonna ask you a question about Spider-Man, right?
All right, here we go.
Are you a fan slash what's your opinion of the scrawny Spider-Mans?
What do you mean scrawny Spider-Mans?
Bro, Peter Parker was a buff guy, man. Peter
You mean the
uh
movie ones? Like,
the yeah, man. The why the scrawny guy?
well, Peter starts out scrawny. He gets bit, and then he doesn't really lose his scrawniness. He's kind of like a lanky. He's a teenager when he gets bit. He's 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't really grow into who we think of as Spider-Man until he's probably in college. And that's like 5 years into his journey. So
So yeah, they do usually always start at the very beginning
which
when they reset the
which they
Spider-Man thing.
didn't so much with the new one with Tom Holland. Like Uncle Ben's dead. We don't even mention Ben. Like great power and responsibility didn't even come from Uncle Ben this time. It came from Aunt May,
Yeah.
and she had to die too. Which that was like
Yeah, that was
when I
crazy.
saw that was nuts. Um, but yeah, at least they didn't do it directly from the start with the spider biting him with this most recent incarnation. But
Yeah. Man, they need to get into that older Spider-Man like you were saying, man. Like
mm,
that
hmm
that's when we really get
we
that
kind of got him a little bit
with
with the
Toby, yeah.
spider. No, with the Spider Verse, the one that trains Miles.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
We
That's
only
true.
get clips of him, but he's finally fixing stuff
And the
with Mary
Toby Maguire
Jane.
one touched on it a little too, where he was kind of like dancing with the idea of not being Spider-Man no more.
Yeah, Spider Man
Yeah.
No More.
Mhm.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Yeah, bro, those classics, man. Have you? I mean, I know you've done a Spider-Man before for sure, but like, as far as like tattoos go,
Oh
what are some
yeah,
that you've done that you're like that stand out to you that you've done like comic book tattoos?
Spider Man's for sure. I was just looking the other day, it was, like, the anniversary of a Spider-Man tattoo that I did that was for, like, the first promotional picture of the Tom Holland Spider-Man, and he's hanging upside down from a web line, and I think he's, like, saluting or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Yep, yep.
So I did one of those a few years ago that if the guy that has that tattoo can reach out to me so I could rework it because I could probably do it better now.
This one's for you,
Uh,
pal.
um and other Spider-Mans, let me see, I did a Batman Who Laughs, if you know who that character is.
No, I don't.
No?
No.
Can I get into that?
Let's go. Let's
Alright.
go.
Batman Who Laughs is another multiverse, another universe version of Batman where it's like a what if, that came through to, like, the main continuity and became, like, a major villain. He is a Batman that managed to kill Joker, and in the Joker's last breath, he has, like, this capsule or something in his mouth that releases a Joker toxin, therein turning Batman into a Joker,
Damn.
like, infecting his brain, basically, so he doesn't even die, he gets to live on inside of Bruce Wayne. So, slowly but surely, this Bruce Wayne turns more Jokerish in his way of thinking about, handling crime and stuff like that, even stuff with his family,
Yeah.
yada, yada. This Batman, is evil now, and he ends up does he kill, like, the whole Batman family, I think, if I remember correctly? This was a few years back.
Yeah.
He just murks everybody, and then, fast forward, he becomes, like, this omnipotent being, and you haven't seen the Batman Who Laughs? He has, like, this, visor of spikes instead of, like
Oh, okay. Yep. I know what you're talking
okay, and he
about.
has, like, a
I didn't know the name
leather
behind it, but I've
trench
seen
coat,
it. Yep.
yeah, and with the Joker mouth and smile.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it got pretty wild there for a minute, but I got to do a tattoo of him, that I designed, which was pretty cool. I even got made into, like, a sticker.
So what would you say is like, because obviously when I look at your work, I can see the comic book inspiration. You do a lot of comic book characters, but you also have like your own style of drawing it where like when I see your stuff, I know that it was, you know what I mean? Like I know it's somebody that drew it as opposed to like you're just drawing like a replica of something. Like whenever I draw comic book stuff, I just make it look like how it looks. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like you have a dope way of like kind of turning it into your own and drawing it with a certain style
Thank
that
you.
has like its own look, but you know the characters, you're staying true to like the strength of the character, you know what I mean? But you're
Yes,
doing it your
yes.
own way.
Yeah, I think that just comes from having been exposed to these characters for so long, like, I can whip out a Batman or a Spider-Man, those 2 especially. Whip out a Batman or Spider-Man, at least like a head sketch or like something from them just from memory. And not for nothing, I got a real shit memory when it comes to most everything,
Yeah.
but, uh, like, if I have to, like, think of, like, drawing a horse, I gotta Google it. I gotta Google image
Yeah, yeah.
search that. It's gonna have 6 legs or something like that, but Batman and Spider-Man, that's easy. So, I try to kinda, like, maybe push and pull on different, like, limitations to these characters that I've seen, like, much better artists do, in the comic field or even just, like, fan art online or even AI art now, which has gotten crazy with it.
Yeah, with like the different prompts and stuff like that
Yeah,
that they give it.
yeah. Just to getting to play around with like perspective and stuff on these characters that are so well known and beloved. Like just trying to figure out like how far can I push a design with one of these characters where it's even still recognizable as Spider-Man. I think that's really cool just to see something new, something different than what you're used to as seeing as like, oh, that's definitely Spider-Man. Which is cool too, because it's cool he's so recognizable.
Yeah.
Like I said that suit is awesome.
That's dope, man. And it's got to be just dope to think about the fact that you've been able to do that and have those drawings on people in the form of tattoo, and like they're actually paying you to do it. Like it's like such a dope thing to
Is a
do as an artist. You know what I
b
mean?
blessing for sure. There's so many times where I feel so happy with the piece at the end. I'll be honest, I'm never 100% happy. I always feel like there's something I could have done better, but
Hmm.
that's what I feel like maybe pushes me to do better.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, at my happiest with the tattoo and the happiest reaction from the client, bro, if I didn't have bills, I would just let them go, but, like, "Enjoy." Like, "Fucking you
Yeah,
like it? You let
for
me
real,
do that on
man.
your body forever? You trusted me? Fuck yeah, that's everything to me." But, the way these bills are set up, I mean, I
Yeah, for real,
gotta
man.
pay them, unfortunately.
For real. So I'm as we wind down, I'm gonna hit you with like a kind of loaded question that I know it's gonna, be a few answers to it, but we'll get into that. So you went from working an office job
Mm,
to like to a point in your life where like most people kind of just settle into that, you know what I
mm.
mean? And but now fast forward, you're 9 years into being a tattoo artist. You know what I'm saying? Like a working tattoo artist,
Professional.
professional, paying your
Mm,
bills, like you said, being able to do
just
these dope things, different conventions, different things that you've done as far as the art goes, and just the style and the things you've learned along the way. Looking back at kind of like that crossroads where you were unhappy with your current situation and you made that change. Looking back on it now, what would you say was like some like just kind of elaborate on the feeling of reflect of just the idea that wow, like I really made that choice at that time and I'm in such a better position. Like take us through like finally getting to that point and just kind of where your mind goes when you think about like the progress you've made just by saying, hey, I'm gonna pursue this thing, I'm gonna give it what I got, and we're gonna make it happen.
there's a Spider-Man story arc that comes to mind when you make me think about this time, and do you know about this, villain called Morlun? He kinda looks like a vampire, but his whole thing is he travels to different multiverses, killing different spider power people and then absorbing their, like, life force and getting stronger, stronger, like the one with Jet Li, kinda
Hmm.
like that. Um, so in this one comic, Spider-Man had to basically, to beat him, he had to die. He had to kill him, and then he had to be reborn. He had to evolve, and then the tagline to it said, "Spider-Man, evolve or die."
Mm,
And that's what happened. I had to evolve or die.
I feel that.
No, like, really, really, I wanted I didn't wanna waking up in the morning was really hard.
Yeah.
Just
No,
knowing I
it,
had to
it
go
it
to
gets
the
dreadful when you get into that cycle of life where it's just like a life sucking cycle. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, I
It
was talking to
starts
somebody
real
recently.
easy.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody recently about like their struggle with office work, and it's like, yeah, bro, you're gonna struggle with it because it's unnatural. You know what I mean? Like we're
Nothing
not
natural about
we're
it.
not supposed to be in an office doing busy work. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
No.
not what we're here for.
It's like the most civil prison that you put yourself in. But like I was saying, it got so bad that, waking up was a chore. Waking up was like, you know,
Yeah.
hearing the alarm and then seeing yourself in the mirror, it's
Every day was something to get through.
like, "Fuck, I woke up again? Like, I can't believe I didn't die in my sleep peacefully." Like, never wanting to off myself or anything like that, just not wanting to
Yeah.
exist anymore, if that makes
No,
sense.
that makes perfect sense.
And for a minute, you don't know what it is. You're like, "Everything's good. I got this office job. It's paying the bills. I got enough money at the end of the week to maybe see a movie," you know? Um, I don't know, after a while, that's not enough,
Yeah.
and it sounds kinda selfish, but, like, you want more than that. You wanna just be happy. I don't think being
Yeah.
selfish is being happy is too selfish, right?
Yeah. I
Mm,
mean, the way some people tell it is, you know what I mean?
mhm.
Especially with I mean, even just thinking about a job where, Lord forbid you want to take a day off. Lord forbid
Huh.
you want to use the vacation time that
Gee,
you earned. You know
right.
what I mean? Like it's just a crazy. I always say that like people that work jobs like that, they forget their people sometimes and they treat other people like through the lens of the job as
Right,
opposed to being like, bro,
right.
this is like I'm talking to a person right now, you know what I mean? And it's like I said, it's like a life sucking thing where you just kind of turn into like one of the droids.
Mhm.
And it's like you that's another thing. Like we always talk about hobbies like on this podcast, like just people, pursuing the things that make them happy and things that they could do on the side. Like, because like I said, bro, and like we're talking about now, we're not made to just be working the office job and then coming home and then going to sleep to then go back to work again.
Unnatural with the fucking those lights, that office, those
Yep, yep.
lights.
Hmm.
Oh, mm. I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah. Man, I always think about you when I think about people that kind of fit the vibe of the show, fit the vibe of like the type of stuff that I like, as just from the point of view of, you made that change, you made it happy, you made it happen, you're living in that, you're living as an artist, which is like something super dope. I always have this thing where like if somebody is surviving off being an artist, like to a certain point, I can't tell them anything because that's the dream. You know what I mean? Especially when you're an artist, that's the dream. You want to be able to live off being an artist, which is so hard to do, but you've managed to do it. You know what I mean? And
I
it's
guess
just dope
so.
that you made it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't something that just was on a platter, or
No, it
something that you
wasn't.
could just like slide into. There's those hard parts, and that's always the part that people don't like, is those muddy waters in the middle.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like the muddy waters is there, you got to pay.
You're in those waters, you can't see your feet,
Yep.
dude? That's
Yep.
scary.
Something we said recently on the podcast is like just that. Like nobody want to get in those muddy waters, but that's like you got to pay the price. Like that price is always going to be paid. If it's money, if it's something you go through, if it's a challenge, a lesson, whatever it is, like that price, you're going to have to pay it. And the dope thing is you're able to come out of it better on the other side with the knowledge to move forward and keep pushing, and everything becomes easier because
Hmm.
you already dealt with all those things that let you know, all right, this is how I need to organize things to be my best self. This is how I need to make things happen for me to be at peace, for me to be happy, and for me to be functioning at the highest level. You know what I mean? That's like a super dope thing that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have. You know what I mean? Like just that clarity of like, this is how I got to move.
Yeah. Shit, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So much of what you said I already knew, but to hear somebody outside of my own brain saying it, it's like, "Oh, shit, I am a professional artist for 9 years." Like, that means something, I
Yeah.
guess. I am doing something right, I guess.
Sometimes we get too deep in the weeds. You know what I'm saying? Like that forest between the trees thing that people be saying.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
you don't really see what's going on, and even like like I come from like inner city vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like low income type stuff. So like a lot of the people around me, was into some shit. You know what I'm saying? And like when you come out of that situation, a lot of people don't really like come out of it as well. Like it's a cyclical thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, you kind of see like those things that kind of suck people dry and bring them down, and it kind of it's like, bro, like you don't know that you can change this. You know what I mean? Like it's like it gets to a point where you're like, you can't you can't keep worrying about it because at the end of the day, it's you know, you're the one living your life. When you go to sleep, like when you go to sleep at night, you're in your mind. You're not in somebody else's mind. Somebody else ain't in your mind. You're in your mind. You're the one that has to think about your thoughts. You're the one that has to live with your day to day. So that's who you need to be thinking about. Being focused on that guy is what's going to put you in the best position to make everything else happen. Like I always like to lead with that because bro, if you're not your best self, you can't be the best self for people around you. You know what I'm saying? Like for me to operate at my best and for my wife to operate at her best, we both got to be happy and doing what we want to do as far as like um what feeds us. You know what I mean? Like y- everything has to start with how can you know, how can we be at peace, how can we be happy? Like that's why, like it's funny, man, I was talking earlier with a friend of mine on the phone, like just about like neighbors that won't don't like a sign that you may have or something that you have, and they'll come over and like, you know, he had an incident where somebody actually came over, knocked on his door, like questioning something that he had in his house. Like, bro, what does that got to do with you? Like imagine just being so
What kind of
like,
sign was it? I'm curious.
it was like a political sign, you know what I mean?
Oh, that just he supports
Yeah, he
somebody?
supports a politician, and it
People do that.
and it made like three people from a house at different times come and knock on his door and ask him about it, bro. Like how
Wow.
sad does your little life have to be that you're consumed by the fact that somebody that lives near you has a different opinion than you?
You don't like what you see when you look out the window.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Close the window.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Like
How is it hurting you? I
yeah,
don't know.
that's like a fact that gets lost on a lot of people. Like, bro, just focus on you and everything will be better. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody want to say, "Oh, this person's doing this person's doing that." People need to do X, Y, and Z, bro. Just worry about yourself, and everything will shape out. You know what I mean? If everybody just worried about themselves, nobody would have these issues because they would realize that the most important thing is their life and their world. You know what I mean? And if you're focused on bringing peace to yourself, you're not worried about bringing no heat to nobody else. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
That it's just it's crazy that it's such a like foreign concept to so many people. You know what I mean?
It's just they don't think about it. It's
Yeah,
just like a simple thing to overlook, maybe.
yeah, and it's, you know, environment, all that stuff, man. There's just so many factors that you just got to be glad that you have that awakening. You know what I mean? Like that's always how I look at it. Like I have a lot of friends that'll like hit me up about like, oh man, I can't believe this person X, Y, and Z, this is that. And it's like, bro, like they're not thinking how you're thinking, so you
Mhm.
can't even waste your time thinking about them because the time you're here telling me about that person, they're not talking about you. They're living their life and they're focused on their thing. You know what I mean? So it's like you need to be doing the same thing and just realize right away we not on the same thing. Cool, keep it moving.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, but it's made to be much more complicated than that.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a lot that we could get into, and I definitely want to have you back with the guys so we can just talk about kind of like that journey, how you like even like more of the specifics of getting through the tattooing and stuff as far as like you know, things that you did to learn the type, because at the end of the day, bro, like all the stories we tell on this podcast lead back to one thing. You got to work to make stuff happen,
Mhm.
and you got to be dedicated. And those stories always line up, like no matter what field they're in. Like we've had so many different people on, like a boxer, you know, somebody that
That's
works
cool.
in the film industry, comedians, like everybody, the common thread they have is they're grounded in their way of thinking and they work hard. You know what I'm saying? Like that's success. Like people try to overcomplicate it, that's all it is. Just have a sane way of thinking and work hard and do good business. That's it. It's a simple formula, but people overcomplicate it so much.
That's a recipe they can get messed up real easy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, let the people know where they could find you, your handles and all that. Like I said, We got Nickolai here, Nickolai Kilin. He's a super dope tattoo artist.
Thank you,
Like I
man.
said, once y'all check his page out and just check out his work, you'll see he got like his own style, super clean as well. So man, y'all definitely gonna dig it.
Thank you, bro. Just primarily on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at it's my full name, Nickolai underscore Kilin, spell NICKOLAI underscore line Kilin, KILIN. Usually you spell just Nikolai that way, and then you'll
And
find
it'll
me.
pop up.
Nope, nobody spells it that way. My parents really messed up on that
Gotcha.
one.
And we'll have your ads like in all the show notes and
Cool.
stuff, and we'll tag you in all the videos too. So anybody that's hearing it, they can check you out for sure, man.
Yeah,
But like I said, man, definitely want to have you back with the guys.
love to. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to throw in there before we wrap?
Just appreciate you for having me, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, man. I
This is my
appreciate you
first
coming by,
podcast
man. And
experience.
you were very professional, on time. It's an overlooked
Try my
thing
best, man.
with people in our line of artistry and stuff like that. People think that it means that you don't have to be
No, no, no.
professional, and it's quite the opposite.
No, man, you giving me any of your time is very much appreciated.
Facts, man. I appreciate you, my guy.
You too, bro.
Stay butter.